So this video is all about how to scale your online coaching business. I'm going to go over specifically 2 ways to do this. There's literally only 2 ways you can actually scale your coaching business, and I'm going to go over it in this video. My name is Jack Bly. I built my fitness coaching business from 0 to over 100K a month, and I'm just documenting what I've learned along the way. So 2 ways. The first way is by basically optimizing and increasing what is called net acquisition rate. All right, net acquisition rate. What is that? So this is basically the net conversion rate of signing clients. So this takes into account, how much it costs for you to get a lead, and then the conversion rate from lead to actual call booked, and then conversion rate from call booked to actually a live call. That means the person actually showing up to the call. And then the conversion rate from a live call into an actual, paying client. What's your close rate look like? It basically combines all of these conversion rates into one, and so your net acquisition rate. And so your aim should be to increase this as high as humanly possible, all right, within reason. So for example, let's say we want to improve this. The first thing I'm going to be looking at is hey, what part of this funnel right here is the bottleneck? What can be increased even more? So for example, we could look at the closing rate right here, 15%, not very good, not very high. And so this has potential to go from 15 to 25 or even 30%. All right, that's potentially a 2x right there, doing nothing else. And so let's say we're able to get this from 15% to 27%. Pretty substantial. You can see how the cost per client goes down dramatically, and obviously net acquisition rate almost 2x'd, all the way up to 3% now. All right, what else can we do here? All right, so we can also potentially improve this show rate. So we can take this from 60 to 70%, let's say, and then boom, this goes up again. All right, we can improve the conversion rate from a lead to actual call booked. Let's say we're getting a setter in the door, and a setter is now calling and texting your leads. Huge way, by the way, if not already doing that. Massive opportunity right there to just dramatically, usually double the amount of call bookings by getting a real good setter in place. So this could go up to 40 theoretically. But let's call this just 30%. All right, and so you can see we got net acquisition rate from 1% to 5.6% right here. Doing these optimizations, this is how you get net acquisition rate up. All right, this is how you dramatically sign more clients with the same ad spend. All right, so if we're spending $100 a day, we'll get dramatically more results just from improving the conversion rate, the net acquisition rate overall. So that's the first way you can scale, is optimization. All right, you can only optimize so much. All right, so once you're at good conversion rates across the board here, as far as appointment booking rate, show rate, and close rate, once those are really quite good, you don't want to spend your time there. All right, there's only so much you can do there to optimize. You could theoretically keep optimizing forever and try and get this net acquisition rate up towards 6 or 7%, maybe 8%, but you're going to run into a certain wall. There's only so much you can do here. All right, beyond that, the second way that you can scale your business is via volume. All right, so if we're looking right here, let's look at this simple math right here. Example, so cash collected, this is how much average cash you're collecting per client. So let's say this is 3K. With these numbers right here, clients only costing us $350. So this is insanely good economics right here. Spending $350 to make $3,000, insane, really, really good. This is not typical, by the way. These are all dummy numbers, just for an example. But this would be netting us 88% profit. Now, next thing we're going to look at is volume here. So by volume, I mean the actual ad spend we're spending on a daily basis here. All right, if you spend more on ads with these economics, you will just make more money. All right, ads are one of the things that are just very simple in terms of doing more volume. You just simply increase ad spend. Now, obviously, there's ways to do this, and so that you don't kill your ROAS. So you don't want to for example, just double your ad spend on ad set from $100 to $200 a day. You're probably going to kill it. You're probably going to get really bad results if you just do that. So you don't want to do it. You actually want to do certain strategies to actually make sure you don't kill your ROAS. But for example, let's say you do this right and you go from $100 to $200 a day. You're just instantly double your results. All right, we also have time frames in here, for example, so days to acquire a client. If it's your ad spend, you can acquire a client in 2 days. But for example, if you have a really low ad spend, you're spending $20 a day, it could take you 18 days to 35 days to sign one client. And so that's one of the problems if you're trying to run ads and you have an extremely low ad budget. It's going to take so long to see any tangible results, and you're likely going to give up because you think it's not working. But you simply don't have enough data. You're not spending enough money. So that's why you really need higher ad spend here. All right, if you want to start signing clients every day, you can just bump this up to 350, and then boom, you're signing one client a day based off this math. All right, so that's the 2 biggest levers that you can pull here is increasing net acquisition rate and then increasing volume. Once this is optimized, like I said, you're really just cranking volume as much as possible. And you may notice there's going to be a certain wall with volume as well where your ROAS and your net acquisition rate may begin to dip. All right, so if we get towards $500 a day in ad spend, all right, this might start to dip. Like we might see the close rate decrease, might see the show rate go down. All right, but as long as you did the upfront work here of making the acquisition rate as good as possible and then scaling, then you should be able to survive these dips in net acquisition rate. All right, because you look at the margin, we're still at 85% margins here, even if these begin to dip dramatically. All right, you're still 72% margins. All right, you want it in such a way where your margins are so high at the beginning where when you scale, you can handle, substantial dips to your net acquisition rate. That's how you really want to set it up. All right, so those are the two ways you really want to scale. So if I'm looking at this in phases as well, you want to begin with optimizing net acquisition rate. You want to get this right first because you can't scale if this is messed up. All right, if this is awful, if this is really, really bad across the board, you're losing money. Like obviously with these statistics, very bad statistics. I'm losing obviously $10,000 for every client I sign. You can't scale this obviously, even if this is, even this is somewhat better. If I'm like breaking even and stuff, you can't scale that machine. You're just going to lose more and more money. All right, and like I said before, as you tend to scale up ad spend, this naturally tends to decrease. All right, because you're getting like how ads work, how basically every ads platform work is the first leads that they're basically putting your ads in front of, they're serving your ads in front of, are the highest likelihood leads that are actually going to convert, the highest probability leads based on all the algorithm, everything that they see as far as the actions that that person is taking on their platform. And so as you scale ad spend, Meta or whatever platform you're using will put your ad in front of more people, and more people who have a lower likelihood of converting to an actual paying client. That's just how it works. They're going to start with the highest probability people and slowly move their way down to serve you more impressions. That's simply how it works. They want you to stay on their platform. They want you to keep on spending ads or money on ads. So, of course, they're going to serve you the best possible people first. So that's one thing to keep in mind here. You need to have that wiggle room. You need to optimize the net acquisition rate to a point where you can handle those fluctuations and that decrease in net acquisition rate as you scale ad spend. So that is really the biggest things here in terms of how do you scale. So first, make sure an acquisition rate is good enough and you have that buffer where your profit margins are very, very good. And so when you can scale, when it's time to 2, 3, 5, 10x ad spend, you can handle it. All right, very crucial. So if you are an online coach and you want my one-on-one help to actually scale instead of an ads funnel like this or a client acquisition system like this that's organic or paid ads, click the link below for a full breakdown on some of the results we get, how we do things, everything A to Z. So click that link below if you are interested, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.